Welcome to Safe Driving for Your Work webinar. Thank you for joining us. My name is Cheryl Reimer, and I'm a certified health and safety consultant and a prevention consultant with Safe Work Manitoba. Safe Work Manitoba is a division of the Workers' Compensation Board and is a public agency dedicated to the prevention of workplace injury and illness. Working with our partners in the safety community, we provide prevention education, safety programming, consulting, and strategic direction to create a genuine culture of safety for all Manitobans. This webinar provides general advice that may not be appropriate for all circumstances. So participants should evaluate the contents of this webinar and seek their own advice before adopting or implementing any advice or recommendation found in this webinar. We'd like to go over a few housekeeping items. This presentation has been pre-recorded to ensure we are able to deliver clear information. So some of the information may have changed since we recorded the session. Please use the Q&A panel if you have any questions or technical issues during the presentation. We will do our best to respond throughout. If we are unable to give you an accurate response right away, following this presentation, we will compile all questions, take the time to research the answers, and post the responses to our website. The recording of this presentation will be posted at a later date on the Safe Work Manitoba YouTube channel. Now, some of the topics that I'm going to be talking about in this webinar are understanding your role as you drive while working, understand the moral, legal, and financial case of having a safe driving program, learn about building a safe driving program using the Plan, Do, Check process, and know where to find tools and resources on our Safe Driving at Work website. Now, driving. Well, it's important to understand the definition of drive. Drive in the Highway Traffic Act means drive or have actual physical control of a vehicle, bicycle, or motorized mobility aid. Vehicle transportation is an important factor of how some goods and services are delivered. And every day, thousands of Manitoba workers drive as part of their job, either with their personal vehicle or a company-owned one. And the time that they spend driving is very likely the most dangerous time of their day. Now, is a vehicle a workplace? Good question. For instance, I was asked in the past by a delivery driver for a small food chain, is the company truck I'm driving for work? Well, is that a workplace? Or a salesperson using his own vehicle while working asked, is this my workplace? And the answer is yes to both of those. Under the Manitoba Workplace Safety and Health Act, workplace means any building, site, workshop, structure, mine, mobile vehicle, or any other premises or location, whether indoors or outdoors, in which one or more workers or self-employed persons are engaged in work or have worked. So I'll talk about some driver qualifications. First, are you legally qualified to drive? And that means that you meet the requirements to get a license. So with age, a test, residency. And second, are you legally authorized to drive? And that means you actually have received a license from an Autopack agent or Manitoba Public Insurance Service Center. So you also want to check the issue and expiry dates to verify that the license is valid. Also, you want to check your license class and verify that it's appropriate for the vehicles that you will be driving for work. And some companies have policies that require that you disclose changes in your driver status, such as suspensions. So they want to make sure that you're legally authorized to drive. Companies as well may require a driver's abstract yearly, which looks at how many violations you may have, your driver safety rating issued in the last 5 years, And in regards to your automobile coverage, you will want to make sure you talk to an insurance broker to make sure you have the appropriate automobile coverage for the vehicle that you will be using while driving for work. And if you're driving a company-owned vehicle, it's really good to have a copy of the current insurance in the vehicle and one in your head office. So for a worker-owned or leased vehicle used for work, have the owner provide a copy of that valid insurance annually to the company. Now, once a worker is legally entitled to drive for work, well, the next step is looking at their competencies. So do they operate the vehicle properly? Do they understand the hazards that they may encounter and how to avoid or control them? Companies can evaluate drivers' driving skills and attitudes by direct observation. So a supervisor or experienced driver from the company may ride along. Some companies may hire a qualified instructor from a driving school to evaluate their drivers on a road test to check their skills. And then they usually provide a report back on the observations along with some recommendations for training to address those skills and behaviors that need improvement. And drivers' skills, while they quickly fade away if not applied, and old habits may creep back in. So it's best practice to reassess driver skills. And what's becoming quite popular is online learning for drivers. Drivers would just log into a driving program, convenient to them, and then there will be resources from quick tips to quizzes. They may even learn new skills and reinforce behaviors that's acceptable to them. Now I'm going to talk about, is driving a work-related hazard? Well, if you're driving for work, you may wonder, is driving a work-related hazard? And the answer is yes. Driving is a work-related hazard. And a hazard is any source of potential damage, harm, or adverse health effects on someone or something under certain work conditions. And everyone has to understand that driving hazards are no different than any other hazards that you have in your workplace, like those physical hazards with the slip, trips, and falls, the chemical hazards with decanting a product into another container, biological, what we're dealing with now with COVID-19, musculoskeletal, those repetitive movements, and psychosocial with harassment and violence. And then there's the driving related hazards to think about. So wildlife on the roadways, even in the city, while I'm driving to work, I notice that wildlife comes in front of my vehicle. Driving down gravel roads to get to a workplace, your driver's seat could be improperly set up. You could have glare from the sun or lights at night making it hard to see. Vehicle inspections not being done. The use of drugs, alcohol, or medications that you may be on, as well as driving while fatigued. And I just want to bring a little bit more awareness into this issue with driver fatigue. There's two main types of fatigue. So there's the physical and then there's the mental. So these reduce the driver's capability to perform essential driving related duties. So the physical fatigue is a result of physically demanding duties. So like a company driver that has to go to a workplace, load boxes back into his vehicle, and he's doing that every hour, going to different workplaces. And there's also the mental fatigue. So that's the psychological state or condition that impairs our cognitive abilities like perception, our attention, memory, and logical reasoning. And some contributors of fatigue could be not enough sleep, sleep disorders, medications you may be on, stress, and our workload. And as a worker or company, there's some practical steps that you can take to reduce driving fatigue, such as recognizing the signs, having flexible schedules, and realistic expectations. There are a variety of other tools and resources available on our Safe Driving at Work website, which I strongly recommend to address this hazard. So as a company, it's all about looking at those driving hazards that I just talked about. It's prioritizing the risk, and putting in some controls so your workers can be safe while driving for work. And if you're a worker, please report all driving hazards to your supervisor. You want to be safe while driving on the roadways. And now vehicle safety. So since there are a variety of hazards that you can encounter while driving for work, you want to be well prepared and deal with the unexpected. So every vehicle should have a vehicle emergency kit, either in the trunk or sometimes you could have it in the back seat. And it's the best practice to check your kit monthly, and expired items should be replaced regularly. So a kit could include that properly inflated spare tire that we always forget about, having a wheel wrench, a jack, jumper cables, utility kit, flashlight and batteries, reflective triangles, first aid kits, high energy foods, nuts, fruits, candy, some drinking water, a car charger for your cell phone, and a fire extinguisher. So when you are traveling for work in the winter or remotely, you can add to this kit by remembering a shovel, a snow brush, windshield washer fluid, cat litter for that added traction, and warm clothing and blankets. And don't forget to keep your gas tank full and install some good winter tires. Now, if you drive while working, there's vehicle inspections to deal with. So either with your personal vehicle or company owned. You want to be able to count on your vehicle to get you to your destination. And if you're traveling during severe weather conditions or on those gravel roads, you should be inspecting your vehicle more often. So it's a really good practice to adopt a two-level approach. First is those daily inspections, which is generally just a walk around your vehicle. So you want to look at your windshield, is it clean? Is there any cracks? The condition of your windshield wipers. You want to make sure they're in good condition in case it rains. Side mirrors are intact, not broken or cracked. Headlights, parking lights, your hazards, turn signals are all working properly. Also, while you're walking around your vehicle, just look and see if there's any leaks that are showing on the ground next to your vehicle. You want to make sure also taillights are working properly. Tires, just check them out, make sure they don't have any bulges, cuts, or some odd lumps. And then you want to do weekly inspections. So that is dealing with your tire pressure, your horn, that it works, instrument lights are working in the vehicle, battery terminals are tight and there's no corrosion that you can see, and there's enough washer fluid in there. So on our Safe Driving at Work website, there are a variety of samples that you can use of inspection forms. So you also want to keep up on your maintenance of your vehicle. So regular vehicle maintenance can prevent unexpected breakdowns and costly expenses. Most importantly, drivers need a vehicle that is equipped and maintained to meet the on-the-job expectations and does not contribute to a motor vehicle incident. Vehicle manufacturers specify maintenance activities and schedules that must be completed to avoid voiding the warranty. You can check in your vehicle manual or dealership for some schedules and what to look for. And now there's some keys to safe driving for work on the roadways. So the first is always wear a seatbelt. So it's designed to prevent injury in case of a collision or sudden change in movement or motion. It's also becoming that time of year when it's becoming dark when you're driving for work, either in the early morning or going home at the end of the day. So it's very important that you use your vehicle lights properly. You also want to avoid those harsh accelerations and sudden stops because it really shows signs of aggressive driving, and aggressive driving habits create risks. Also, drivers who accelerate rapidly tend to speed and then brake hard, which leads to wear and tear on the vehicle. In the case of a driver that has to deliver products, your load may shift, which then leads to unsecured loads and possible breakage of the product that you're delivering. And as a driver driving for work, you want to pay attention to your surroundings. Check your mirrors. Scan the conditions in front of you. Keep your eyes moving at all times. If a vehicle shows signs of aggressive driving, slow down. Try to avoid it. Also keep an eye out for those pedestrians that may just jump and go try and walk in front of your vehicle. Those bicyclists as well that may be alongside the road. Also, be considerate of others. Allow other drivers to merge and be prepared to act in case someone runs a red light or a stop sign. The next is always use the 3 to 4 second rule, which helps you maintain a safe following distance between you and that other vehicle. So determining the 3 to 4 second rule is relatively easy. When following a vehicle, pick an overhead sign, a tree, or roadside marker. Note that when the vehicle ahead passes that marker, then see how many seconds it takes. So count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000, 4 1,000 for you to pass that next same spot. And if it's not 3 to 4 seconds, leave more space and increase your following distance. And it's always been said patience is a virtue, and it certainly is in the case when it comes to driving. Drivers who fail to exhibit patience and caution when driving are the ones who find themselves receiving those traffic violations or those vehicle incidents. And remember, posted speed limits are for ideal conditions only. Higher speeds make controlling your vehicle much more difficult. And another key to safe driving is to cut out the distractions. And there's various types of distractions. So did you know in Manitoba, distracted driving is the top contributor to serious motor vehicle incidents? The top contributor. Distracted driving kills. Even a small distraction can have a lifetime of devastating consequences for individuals, families, and employers. And there are various types of distractions, like the visual, where you want to keep your eyes on the road and focused on what you're doing instead of reading that text that may have come through. Manual, hands on the steering wheel and not turning your radio to that other station or programming your GPS like a lot of people seem to do to get you to your destination. Cognitive, keep your mind on driving and not thinking about what you're going to make for supper when you get home. And auditory, ears tuned to the environment and not that catchy little number on the radio that we tend to sing to. Eliminating driver distractions to reduce the risk of collisions can be achieved when companies and drivers work together to develop and implement clear policies and procedures supported by training and resources. An interesting fact is our brains are always switching from one task to another. Our brain doesn't function well thinking of more than one task at a time. We are actually blind to the road when we are constantly switching to those various tasks. So that's why it's very important to keep our full attention on the road and what we are doing. Now I'd like to share with you a story of the impacts of distracted driving. So I was just notified of a family friend that was involved in a vehicle incident while on his way to work the other day, which really clearly demonstrates the dangers of distracted driving to everyone involved. So this happened on a Manitoba highway. So a family friend, I'll call him Devin. So he was on his way to work one early morning, and there's a car in front who decided to stop and make a left turn. So he stopped behind the vehicle. And while he was stopped, he noticed in his back, in his rear view mirror, a truck coming up fast. And it didn't seem like he was going to slow down. So Devin right away turned his steering wheel to the right so that he could go into the ditch, and that's when he was hit. So the impact sent him into the right side ditch, and the vehicle that hit him flew into oncoming traffic and hit a gravel truck on the driver's door. The gravel truck ended up staying upright, but ended up in the ditch. The damage was extensive. Devin's seat was actually torn away from the frame, and he sustained severe whiplash and back injury. He is now seeing a physiotherapist, and he's going to be off work for quite a while. The driver of the gravel truck was uninjured. He was on his way to deliver a load of material to a customer and was actually only on the job for 2 weeks. The driver that hit him was driving for work in a company truck. He was actually going 140, way over the posted speed limit. And he was texting. He received 2 broken legs. However, he survived. But now he has to live with the consequence. So the company vehicle he was operating was seized right on the spot. There was added cost for the fines, towing, and getting the vehicle out of the compound. His driver's license was suspended right away, so he isn't able to drive. His life has changed forever. Someone was injured from him being distracted. And if serious enough, distracted driving could result in a charge of criminal negligence. So just think about that. Now he is living with this vehicle collision for the rest of his life. So fatalities involving vehicle collisions make up 20% of all fatalities reported to the Workers' Compensation Board from 2014 to 2018. So this statistic really emphasizes the importance of why you want to identify those driving hazards, conduct those vehicle inspections, and not be distracted, because it's a sobering fact that if there is a work-related fatality in Manitoba, it most likely happened on the road. And Workers' Compensation Board data, well, that really shows that driving fatalities are not decreasing. Manitobans are killed each year while driving for work, which has been climbing steadily for the last 5 years. So this is why you really want to ensure you have a safe driving program developed and implemented in your company to reduce the risk of an injury or fatality of workers while driving for work on the roadways. So now we'll go into safety and health program. So many companies have a safety and health program, but did you know you can also integrate your safe driving program that you prepared throughout the various elements of the program? So for instance, looking at policies. So there's policies that are in your workplace, but you can also add in there about distracted driving, the use of worker-owned vehicle for work, or drug impairment. Under identifying and controlling hazards, you also want to identify hazards for the driver, the journey that you're taking, and the vehicle. You're also going to talk about determining suitable control measures. Now, under roles and responsibilities, you have that in your workplace. So this time you want to identify specific driving responsibilities that individuals within your company have. Inspections, look at those vehicle inspections and maintenance inspections and add them into this piece with all the other inspections that you're doing in your workplace. Training, you have your training matrix that you developed. Well, throw in there the driver orientations. Investigations, you also want to do investigations of incidents, near misses, and other unsafe work conditions while driving. And participation. In this section, you want to involve workers that drive for work, for their concerns and input. And the last piece is the evaluation. So you want to evaluate your program to make sure it's up to date and being used appropriately by all workers. So as you can see, your company only requires one safety and health program. And then those safe driving documents, well, you can integrate that throughout all the elements. Now I'd like to talk about the moral side of why you want to be safe while driving for work. So a motor vehicle incident can have immeasurable, life-altering consequences for workers and their families. Safe driving at work matters because of its human and personal implications for each one of us. And I'm sure each one of us has a story. So ask yourself, why do I want to drive safe for work? Well, there could be a variety of reasons why. You want to drive safe because it can save your life, save someone else's life, avoid those ever-rising fines, and to keep your insurance in good standing. Because we all want to get that rebate, maybe at the end of the year, for having a lower premium. Another is we have a life outside of work. We want to go home at the end of the day to our loved ones. We want to go and enjoy life, like fishing, quadding, snowmobiling, spending some quality time with our family instead of being injured in a vehicle incident and maybe never enjoying what we love to do. Now let's talk about consequences of a crash for a moment. So just look at that picture. Now let's imagine in this scene, so the driver on the left-hand side was driving for work, drove through a red light, distracted, and collided with the vehicle on the right. And the people in that vehicle was a mother with an infant child. Everyone was injured and had to be taken to the hospital by ambulance. So just think of that picture for a moment and look at it on the screen. Now I want you to close your eyes. Imagine the driver in the vehicle on the left was from your workplace. Can you see the person? Put a name to him. Can you imagine how this will affect him? Can you imagine the ripple effect of this vehicle incident? How is his family going to feel? How is his employer going to feel? His injury is going to keep him away from work for 6 months or maybe even longer. Will he still be able to go back to his workplace? His friends, people he knows, co-workers, may look at him differently now because of what he did. Now open your eyes. And I really hope this gives you a sense of the moral ripple effect that the consequence of this crash can cause. Very, very impactful. Now let's look at the financial side of this vehicle incident. So the true cost of a vehicle incident extends well beyond the event itself. It can have a big impact on your bottom line. And if your company experienced a serious work-related driving incident, there's the insured costs to think about, which is increased workers' compensation board premiums from a worker being injured. And then your vehicle insurance increases with a vehicle collision. So where's that money going to come from? Can your company find that money somewhere? And then there's the uninsured costs, things that you may not think about. So you could be in the public eye, news, in the paper, and lose some valuable clients, which then can impact your reputation. Workplace morale is low because a worker from your company was in a motor vehicle incident. Production slows down. Workplace safety and health gets involved and issues a stop work order. Now your business is shut down. For how long? And this all impacts your business. And there's also the legal side to be aware of. So this slide is from the Workplace Safety and Health Act. So employers, you carry the greatest responsibilities for workers while driving for work, like ensuring the safety and health and welfare of workers while driving, provide and maintain a safe workplace, and the workplace is their vehicle, ensure awareness of hazards and precautions, and workers, you have responsibilities as well for driving for work. You want to follow all safety rules, report hazards dealing with the journey that you're taking or the vehicle that you're driving, and use safety equipment, clothing, and devices as applicable, like fire extinguishers, first aid kits, and high visibility vest. I also want you to be aware of other legislation that may be applicable to you. The Highway Traffic Act, which deals with the operation of motor vehicles on Manitoba highways. The Drivers and Vehicle Act, which deals with the registration and driver licensing requirements for vehicles operated on Manitoba roadways. The Local Vehicles for Hire Act, which deals with the vehicles for hire such as taxis and limousines. The Criminal Code of Canada deals with the dangerous operation of a motor vehicle or impaired driving that could result in criminal charges. And the School Bus Drivers Act, which deals with duties and responsibilities of school bus drivers. And now I just want to talk about the impacts of a road traffic incident to a worker by looking at the moral and financial side. So the worker could have a disability, be in a wheelchair, using mechanical aids to get around. Their career may be on hold, may never go back to their employer again, which then puts them into a career change. They may have been making decent money. Now they have loss of future earning capacity. And all this spirals and leads to emotional trauma. And then there's impacts of a road traffic incident to an employer, looking at the moral, financial, and legal side. So the employer may feel guilty that a worker was injured while driving for work. There may be vehicle, property, product damage. Workplace Safety and Health Branch could recommend a prosecution of your company, which then leads to a conviction. As well, there could be offenses under several other statutes with a recommendation of prosecution. And word of mouth travels fast. You may be in the public eye and lose some of your valuable customers. That's why it's so important to have a safe driving program in your company. So whether your company is large, medium, or small, whether drivers drive company-owned or worker-owned vehicles, the three-step process is a straightforward approach you can use to build a plan that's right for your organization. And it all starts with step one. So the main objective of the plan is to prevent work-related motor vehicle incidents and minimize injuries, financial costs, and other losses that they may cause. So there's ways of doing that. So you want to have safety policies and safe work procedures that describe the steps or practices that workers need to follow before getting behind the wheel for work. Getting the support from management. It's about putting safe driving for work at the top of the priority list. It's about providing resources necessary to ensure the plan can succeed and be engaged in the implementation measures. Consulting with workers, especially those that drive for work, for their opinions on every aspect of the program. It's a necessary ingredient. You also want to identify driving-related hazards that workers encounter throughout their day. Evaluate the risks and set priorities for taking action because workers have the best knowledge of the hazards that they encounter and likely have good ideas on how to eliminate or minimize those risks. And every plan has defined goals and a method to measure the progress. So like other systems, safe driving is a continual improvement process. You will want to ensure the controls that are implemented are minimizing exposure to driving-related hazards, reducing risks, and preventing crashes. And then step 2 is the do process. So that's about understanding driving-related hazards that workers face and taking action to address them. So you want to have effective controls, and controls are measures used to eliminate or minimize exposure to hazards, which protects workers from harm. It's also important to know that workers who drive for work have what it takes to safely complete their driving assignments, which would include looking at their skills and qualifications. It's important to reduce vehicle incidents, so planning your trip will enable you to eliminate or minimize exposure to driving-related hazards. And it's really good practice to determine what types of vehicles are appropriate for the job. So is it a truck, van, bus, heavy equipment? And what are the acceptable conditions of that vehicle? We'll also want to have a system that provides appropriate mechanisms of communication, which is very valuable between all drivers to express their concerns and ideas. And employers must also provide necessary supervision to ensure safety. And an effective supervisor is also a good communicator, motivator, and a role model. And now we get into step 3. So the check process is analyzing relevant information to determine if the controls that you put in place are reducing behind the wheel risks. So like vehicles used for work, your safety system requires regular checkups to make sure its components are functioning as they should. So regular reviews, either weekly, monthly, annually, provides opportunities to gather and analyze results and adjust the plan as required. When a work-related vehicle crash occurs, a thorough investigation is the best opportunity to discover the factors that contributed to the incident and understanding the underlying causes. And near misses provide similar learning opportunities as well. So don't forget about those ones. Making improvements is a fundamental concept of the plan, do, check process. Continual improvements means consistently looking for and finding ways to prevent crashes and avoid injuries. Now there's some really good news. Safe Work Manitoba offers information and resources on our Safe Driving at Work website that can help build your safe driving program. You can get to this page by going on to the safemanitoba.com website, select safety topics at the top bar, and then safe driving at work. You can view information on why safe driving matters, building your safe driving program by utilizing that plan, do, check process that I just talked about, and also attend a half-day workshop on building your safe driving program for employers. So some really good information. And there are several other elements in our toolkit, which has more specific topics in developing and implementing a safe driving program for your company. So for instance, there's some safe driving templates that you can utilize. Identifying driving related hazards, controlling those driving hazards. There's policies on safe driving and safe work procedures, resources on driver qualifications, distracted driving and that driver fatigue, tips for workers who drive, vehicle inspection forms to be used in your operation, vehicle maintenance schedule, a variety of shop talks on driving, distracted driving, and speeding. And those you can bring forward back into your workplace and do a talk, your huddle meetings, your toolbox talks, just to engage your workers. And an interesting fact I would like to share is, since January of 2021 to today, the top 3 views on the Safe Driving for Work website are hazard identification and risk assessment, vehicle inspections, and investigating motor vehicle collisions. So it's great to see many people are using our Safe Driving at Work website. So in summary, I hope this webinar has shown that motor vehicle collisions are the leading cause of workplace fatalities in Manitoba. When road traffic incidents occur, they have huge human, financial, and legal consequences. And these collisions are preventable by implementing elements of the plan, do, check process. And our moral responsibilities and legal requirements compel each of us to be part of that solution. So at this time, I'd like to go through some really good questions that came to my attention, which I would like to talk about. So the first question that we're going to talk about is a hands-free device safe while operating a vehicle? Well, in case some of you didn't know, a hands-free device can be a Bluetooth earpiece, a dashboard system installed in the vehicle itself, speakerphone, or a cell phone holder mount to hold your phone. While a lot of drivers think using a hands-free device is safer than using a handheld device, unfortunately, that isn't true. Our brain actually remains distracted by the cell phone conversation. Just like our brain can't read a book and talk on the phone, you can't safely operate a vehicle and talk on the phone either. And this information is really valuable. It also came from a study from the National Safety Council's distracted driving strategy. So you can put that into your Google search and it really showcases a lot of good information on the hands-free devices. So like I talked about, it may be less distracting than texting or talking. However, it still takes the focus off the road, leading to accidents or injuries. And anything that distracts your eyes, your hands, or your mind from the task at hand is considered a distraction. So another great question that came forward is, what should I do to make sure my tires are safe to use? Well, an interesting fact is tires are usually taken for granted until the road puts them to the test. So when it comes to safety, tires are the most important component of your vehicle. Your brakes stop the wheels from turning, but it's actually the grip of the tires that brings your car to a stop. So you want to ensure you take time to choose your tires. Tire companies can provide expert advice to safely choose the right tire for you to keep you safe. You will also want to check your tire pressure monthly, including your spare, especially before you take a long trip. Inspect your tires regularly, especially before those long trips. Look for bulges or odd lumps that could indicate a problem. Check what is recommended by the vehicle manufacturer to regularly rotate your tires. So this gives you a good opportunity to visually inspect them for damage and also check air pressure or have them rebalanced. Also, before the first snowfall or when temperatures dip down, you will want to change over to your winter tires. And summer tires usually go back on the vehicle after the threat of snow and freezing temperatures are gone. The next question is, I just completed a delivery to a customer. Do I have to inspect my vehicle again before driving? Yes, it's best practice to conduct an inspection before driving again. You count on your vehicle regularly to deliver you to your destination, right? I know we all expect our vehicle is working in sound condition. However, all our vehicles consist of mechanical and electrical components that unfortunately can fail at any time. So whether you travel on long trips or short trips across town, it's necessary to walk around your vehicle to inspect that everything is in proper operating condition. Your tire pressure may become low because it picked up a sharp object on the road while you were driving. A bulb in one of your indicators or brake lights may have burnt out. And as a driver, you want to ensure your windows, side mirrors, backup camera, front and back lights are all cleaned as well. Next question is, how can we make driving with coworkers and clients safer during a pandemic? Great question. There are many workplaces where coworkers or clients drive together to carry out operations and services. So many vehicles make it difficult or do not allow for that physical distancing of that 2 meters between occupants. So you want to determine, first off, do you really need to be in the vehicle together? And if you do, maybe consider completing a pandemic system checklist before traveling together. Ensure your vehicle is properly sanitized and everyone knows and understands good hygiene practices. Everyone also should be asked to wear a non-medical mask. And also ensure you have hand sanitizer, tissues, wipes, and a garbage can that's available in the vehicle. Another great question that came forward was, how should I prepare myself for winter driving? While driving in winter weather, snow and ice creates a challenge for vehicles and drivers. So keeping your vehicle in good repair reduces your overall chance for mishaps or disaster while driving, particularly in winter weather. First thing you want to do is to give your vehicle a complete checkup. Usually you can book it into a dealership or a shop around your area and make sure everything is in working order. You will also want to have a well-stocked winter driving kit. So make sure that you have one available in your vehicle. So that would consist of a bag of salt or sand, tow rope, traction mats, snow shovel, snow brush, ice scraper, booster cables, extra washer fluid, flashlights, warm clothes, a blanket, that high energy food like bars, candy, and sugar. And also, which is really nice, is a call police sign. So just in case you're in a situation that you don't feel comfortable getting out of your vehicle, then you can put that call police sign in your window. Now, when you're preparing to drive, you will want to plan your winter driving in advance. Avoid driving when fatigued. You can also contact your provincial road reports, and there you can get updates regarding road conditions in the region that you're going to travel. Check weather conditions for your travel route before you begin driving. Inform someone of your route and planned arrival time. Warm the vehicle before driving, very important. It reduces moisture from condensing on the inside of the windows. Never warm your vehicle in a closed garage. Remove all snow or ice from the vehicle. And don't forget to bring a cell phone. However, don't leave it in the vehicle because the battery will freeze and it won't be usable. And the last question is, how should I drive in winter weather? Well, the first thing you want to do is when you drive is to make sure you wear your seatbelt. The posted speed limits are for ideal conditions only. So watch for ice, especially black ice, because it's very invisible. It really looks like shiny and new on the pavements. And allow for extra traveling time dependent on the weather. Lengthening your following distance with the vehicle ahead of you. Stopping distance on an icy road is about double that of a dry one. So just keep that in mind. Don't change lanes too quickly or jerky because this can cause skidding and you could lose control of your vehicle. And be aware of your surroundings and slow down. But if the weather gets bad enough, get off the road. Find a safe place or turn around. So on behalf of Safe Work Manitoba, I want to thank you for watching our virtual presentation. I hope you're able to take away some tools and knowledge to keep you and your coworkers safe while driving for work. In the coming days, you will receive an email with a link to a survey, and you will also be able to view the complete recording of this webinar and share it with your colleagues. So be sure to visit safemanitoba.com to view our resources. Thank you.